We are 4 games into this season with Sarri, and he's missed 2 of them. So actually expecting this to be sort of a full imprint Sarri team is ridiculous. In fact, I even remember last season at Chelsea, a lot of people defending Sarri by saying you can't expect to see the real Sarri team until year 2, which, you know, it's true at Napoli. It took a good year to really get to where you want to go with it. And I think that's totally valid.
Chiellini said the new year. I
think what bugs me is this. When I look at that team that went out against Atletico last night, first of all, I'm with Stewart in that I think that I had very low expectations for this game, honestly. I thought they would lose. And I was watching it and thinking, I've done them a disservice in my own thought process on them, because look at these players. These are still brilliant players. There's still Ronaldo up front. And even, you know, Higuain's, in fact, all of that first goal, everyone on the Cuadrado finish, which was brilliant. But Bonucci's ball was one of those beautiful long passes he can play. Higuain's ball across was just perfect through about 4 defenders, the only line he could take. I love that Higuain was still screaming at Cuadrado basically when the ball hit the net for not having returned it. But it was a really nice reminder of what they're capable of. But without evolution, I look at that team and think that is not going to win the Champions League.
I know that we've been very critical of Juventus, but I also think that this is a team that could have been 4-0 up. I thought Ronaldo had a great chance. I thought that Higuain was a little bit selfish as well and should have probably passed as well. That would have meant 4 goals. Yeah, I think going forward, this is still a side that knows how to adapt to the moments and to adapt to the opponent. And this is still very much an Allegri team that we will see with the evolution, and hopefully that will be the step up that can help them win that. They're still not playing with many of the stars going forward, and with a defence that went from the BBC to now having mismatches in all different sectors. Yeah, I'm not overly impressed with Danilo. Also, what I don't understand with Danilo is he doesn't seem to understand yet how to communicate with the back line. So he was always conceding sort of set pieces, and you could see Bonucci shouting at him. Now you have an issue with Bonucci because you think he's not a man to teach De Ligt, because De Ligt just looked...
Yeah, at the moment, in the first few games, I've been a championing De Ligt last season when I think there's a young player, and I'd seen him play for the Dutch. I did all the Dutch games as well, so I'd seen him play for the Dutch, where you think he's got everything you'd want from a centre half. He's powerful in the air, he looks to be a leader, he's got decent pace, he can come out with the ball as well. And I expected him to come straight into the side next to Chiellini, because Chiellini would have helped him and would have, every time he made a block, would have patted him on the back. I'm not sure he's going to get that from Bonucci. Yeah. Bonucci's a player that's going to look after himself slightly, because he probably thought he was going to be the one dislodged by De Ligt. And at the moment, I don't see Bonucci helping De Ligt. You know, Bonucci's, and most players they look after themselves. You know, they might do a bit of organising around them, but they actually look after themselves and what they're good at doing, which is Bonucci's passing the ball and being the player that he wants to be. I'm not seeing him helping out De Ligt. When set plays are coming into the box, there's not the Chiellini saying, you pick him up, or we're going to mark zonally here, you attack that ball. It's all a little bit, so let's just hold a line. And De Ligt doesn't know what line he's trying to hold. When the goals against, I think it was Napoli, when balls were being bent in, he wasn't sure whether to go back, he wasn't sure whether to go forward, because he wasn't getting any advice from the other players around him. So at the moment, De Ligt looks like a player that's lost his confidence. He's gone from being the big star at Ajax, where he's been brought up at Ajax, everybody's been talking, you're great, you're going to be the next Franz Beckenbauer, or whatever you want to talk about as world-class defenders, the next Chiellini maybe. Now he's gone to a club where he's got to prove himself. They've paid a massive fee, he's got to prove himself to the fans, he's got to prove himself to the other players, he's got to prove himself to be better than what they've already got. And at the moment, I think he's struggling to do that. But he will, because he's such a good talent, he will eventually be a great player, but he's just struggling at the moment.
It's interesting because I think it's always, what's so brilliant about Juventus is how they train their youth. At least that's something that I used to say that was especially good of Allegri, and how he used to bring in and introduce players. And I think that it's obviously always much easier to do, Conte did it as well, Juventus, when you bring in a Pogba, when there's already a Pirlo, Arturo Vidal, Marchisio. So it becomes easy to slip into a system. Right now, Juventus don't know what their back system is. No. It's, Danilo is new. Sandro, we know that sometimes he has his moments, and Bonucci is not the world's greatest defender, but he was in a great system, so it allowed him to be one of the best defenders in the world. For me, he's a Guardiola defender, which means quite average, to be honest.
Guardiola got into it there.
Always bring it to Guardiola.
Yeah. Yes, do you know why? Because Guardiola never goes for the likes of Chiellini. He goes for the Bonucci.
Now then, I'll ask you the question: who got the better deal? Guardiola or Sarri in the Danilo Cancelo swap?
Oh,
Oh, Cancelo's better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Cancelo's
that was
better.
a bad move for
That was a
Juventus,
bad move,
yeah.
but that was
They
a move
got
done
money,
for
yeah.
financial sacrifice, unfortunately. But anyway, speaking of all these things, I think that, this is why I wanted Demiral. It was Demiral and Bonucci, and it was De Ligt and Chiellini. And I understand that it doesn't mean just because Chiellini had an ACL injury that now it means we're never going to see De Ligt, because he shouldn't have to suffer because Chiellini's out. But in terms of
De Ligt and Demiral.
or we could do De Ligt and Demiral. But I do think that he needs more of an aggressor alongside him, somebody who's a little bit more, who can snuff out danger, who can be a little bit more physical. Bonucci is trying to be the man, and he's also good at doing the things that De Ligt is good at. So it's almost like a competition and not reading each other very well. Demiral's not going to be the guy that teaches either, so this is where the problems are. But I do think there needs to be a way of figuring it out, because otherwise they're going to keep conceding.
The thing that tells me that De Ligt is in his own little world at the moment and not very confident was the goal that they conceded against Napoli when Lozano just ran off the back of him and he didn't even see he was there.
No.
If you're full of confidence and you've got that awareness, because what confidence does when you're lacking confidence, it takes away your awareness because you're thinking about things. Well, what about if the ball comes here? What about if this happens? Rather than actually seeing the bigger picture when you're playing. While you're playing with confidence, you sort of see the bigger picture. I can do this. You can do 2 or 3 things at the same time. And the fact that he didn't even see the run of Lozano and was trying to hold a line when Lozano's running straight through the middle, that tells me he's lacking confidence at the moment. But hopefully it will come right.
It is really interesting. I remember when Morata came to Juventus, him sort of making a big point of, oh, this is so unlike Real Madrid. Like I walk in here and it's like I can sit at any table at lunch. Like I don't have to sort of sit with the kids, And I my mind went back when we were talking about this before we came in to record, and you were making this point, Stuart, which I think is really fascinating one about his confidence and his sort of sense of just, I think, comfort in his environment. And it made me think of Ronaldo on his first day at Juventus when he was walking through Continasta, and of course he's Ronaldo and he's a superstar, and it's not like he doubts himself in any setting, but everyone just felt very reserved and in that sort of awkward, polite hello, until Chiellini just sort of bowled around a corner while the cameras are there and just gave him a bear hug. And I think there's something in that aura that Chiellini gives to the whole team when he's on the pitch that maybe is missing just in general for Juventus at the moment, and that's something that, look, it's hard to replace. He's still an incredibly valuable asset at 35 for a reason.
Well, I have 2 leaders at the club, and unfortunately for Juventus at the moment, neither of them are playing.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPNFC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.